Hi, I'm Emily. I'm going to talk to you about my experience with cancer. I never expected to get sick. I'm 17. You don't think, oh, I'm going to have cancer. I'm going to get sick. I know that's going to happen. No one thinks that. I mean, you'd be crazy to think that. I mean, I never thought anything like that could happen to me. But in November, yeah, it happened. I had stayed home from school a little bit because I had a cold, and the day I was going back to school, I was having chest pain. So my mom took me to a quick care unit, and they took an X-ray, and they said that they saw something in my chest. So they told us that we needed to go get a CT scan. So the next day we went and got a CT scan, and they had to do an IV. I hate IVs. I get so nervous. But after that, my pediatrician called us and told us that we needed to go to the emergency room. So we went to the emergency room, and my pediatrician had arranged for the oncologist to meet with us to discuss the CT scan. The oncologist told us that in order to see what exactly was going on, they would have to do a biopsy in my neck. So I spent the night at the hospital, and on the next day, Friday, I had a biopsy. And I've been healthy my whole life, pretty healthy. This was the first time I've ever had surgery. That was terrifying. A few hours after the biopsy, my mom met with the oncologist, who broke the news that I either had Hodgkin's lymphoma or a weird infection. They knew that I had swollen lymph nodes, so that was something like that. The sample had been taken to Nashville to confirm the diagnosis. Monday after the biopsy, I had to go for a PET scan. After the scan, we went back to the doctor's office to discuss the results. The results were that I did have Hodgkin's lymphoma, which was a cancer of the lymph nodes, and it was stage 2A. With stage 2A, that means that they can treat it and get rid of it pretty fast. The doctor then told us about how my chemotherapy would work. I would do 3-day inpatient chemotherapy, and then 8 days later I would do an outpatient chemotherapy. Then he told us about the side effects of the chemotherapy, about nausea and everything else. And then the one thing that I remember him telling me is that I would lose my hair. That was the worst one of all. It doesn't seem like it should be, but I remember bursting into tears. I just wanted to run out of the room, scream, punch a wall, something. That was not something fun that you want to hear. That's scary. I didn't want to go to prom without hair, or graduate without hair, or anything for that matter. It was hard to think about. I'd always had long hair. And I loved my hair. It was hard. I wondered what people would say, what people would think, how long till it fell out. It's terrifying to me. First chemotherapy was the day after my port surgery on December 1st. The port goes mostly in the chest. I had just got mine taken out. Ooh, the light. It's so they don't have to do an IV in your arm every time to give you the drugs. And so that makes it a lot easier, trust me. But I remember hallucinations from some of the drugs that did not mix. There's streaks on my mom's face. There's a doorstop that looked like a turtle. Sorry, I keep looking not at the camera. But, and chemotherapy makes your memory go to goo. Like, I could barely remember all this. I had to have help remembering this stuff. But, the outpatient chemo always had the worst side effects. A lot of nausea, just fatigue. It's hard. But, every time after my, outpatient chemotherapy, I had to have a shot in my thigh to keep my white blood cells from going too low. I had a big needle phobia, and I said that. It's hard for me, but I had to do it so I didn't get sick. That caused a lot of bone pain. So I took Singular for that, and that helped. After one of my outpatient chemos, I ran a fever, which can be very dangerous for cancer patients because there's a fear of pathologitis. A blood infection called sepsis could have set in, and luckily it didn't, but I had to stay in the hospital for 3 days so they could check. But one of the chemotherapy drugs is known to cause flu-like symptoms. But not long after my first chemotherapy round, my hair began to fall out. And I did end up cutting it to about my shoulders. It was so itchy. I couldn't help it. When I run my fingers through it, it would just fall out. So I knew I would eventually cut it really short or shave it off. So I cut it to my shoulders, and it was still bothering me, so I cut it to more of a pixie cut. And then I was like, it's bothering me so much. So I asked my dad if he would just shave it off, and we did. I'll insert some pictures. But after that, before I ended up shaving it off, I ended up getting a wig. 2 wigs, which I never ended up wearing because it was so itchy anyway. So before Christmas, they told us that I needed to have my second round of chemo, but we wanted to wait till after Christmas. So we waited until after Christmas. My cousin Anna was here. She stayed with me in the hospital for a couple days, and I did see bugs in her hair, hallucinations once again. Also, other than nausea, I had horrible stomach issues, if you know what I'm saying. But the worst chemo drug was one called doxorubicin, or the Red Devil. I was supposed to have something cold in my mouth, like ice or popsicle every time, so I didn't get mouth sores. But the ice would just make me feel so nauseous. Ew, okay, every time I think about it, it makes me feel sick. So after my second chemotherapy, I had another PET scan, and it was completely clear. I was so happy, but I had to go through 2 more cycles. So after the third cycle, I had throat sores because I did not use the ice because it was making me feel nauseous. But I paid for that. That hurt. I could not eat. I could not drink. So, one tip, always use the ice. After the last round, I ordered a human hair wig because I thought that I would like to wear it for graduation or for pictures. I ended up not doing that. In the winter time, I would just wear hats, and when it got more spring, I wore buffs and scarves. But now that my hair is going back, I've been going like this, nothing, or a headband. But I know a lot of people, at least kids, don't love school, and I was definitely one of those people. I did not like school that much. But when you can't go, you miss it so much. I mean, I get so lonely being at home all day by myself, me and my dog, but it's lonely. And I had to do an online class. I had one more class to finish for senior year. But it's hard. You don't have a teacher. You're sitting alone, and it's really hard. Just me and my dad trying to do it. It's difficult. You need an actual teacher. But not being at school, I miss my friends, and this is human contact. It's hard, but I mean, I don't know. It's really hard for a teenager who is still in school to go through cancer. I couldn't go to school without the risk of getting more sick. Or I just miss school so much throughout the months. The sad part is that many teenagers don't know how to treat kids with sicknesses like I had. They don't know what to say to someone. They do the exact opposite of what they should be doing. They distance themselves from us instead of putting themselves closer to the one in need. They distance themselves from us instead of putting themselves closer to the one in need. If you have a friend or family who's sick, do your best to contact them, visit them as much as you can. Just the little things will help them feel better. Feeling alone is a huge issue when you're sick. Being around family and friends did help to cope a lot. Any contact with friends did help and make me feel like I was closer back to my normal life. Though chemotherapy causes issues and may restrict you from so many things that you want, it saves lives. Yeah, the side effects are brutal. You never realize how serious cancer is until you or someone you know has to go through it. One of the main reasons I hated going through this was because not only of how it affected me, but how it affected other people. Altogether, it took me about 3 months to be in remission. For most adults, they do a less intense chemotherapy for about 6 months. Yes, my experience was very difficult, but it was over fairly quickly, and I had a good support of some friends and family. The support of others makes a huge difference. Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. No matter how many times you get gifts or gift cards or visits, it's not going to be easy. It's hard. But if I could do it, you can do it. I'm a wimp. So, yeah, it wasn't easy. And it puts a toll on your body, but I'm alive.